The PAGD, People's Alliance Sabgupkar Declaration, an amalgam of several political parties, chaired their third meet over the voting rights controversy and pledged to stand on 4 August 2019 position, that is before the abrogation of Article 370. But what is the voting rights controversy? What powers does the Election Commission of India hold for revising voter list? And what are the legal aspects of it? Does it change Kashmir's political identity? And has the issue went beyond job and land rights?
ये जंगल राज है, किस नाम से मैं पुकारूं, क्या नाम दे दूं मैं, जो रविश अख्तियार की है मौजूदा इंतजामिया ने.
By bringing in this provision in the law, you are manipulating the electoral behavior.
This matter is sub judice before the highest court of the country, that is Supreme Court of India.
The controversy started when a chief electoral officer, Hardish Kumar, who is now promoted as the commissioner, announced 25 lakh new voters will be added in the voter list, as after the abrogation of 370, any Indian citizen ordinarily living in J&K will be given voting rights in Kashmir Assembly elections. The announcement created furore, with Kashmir-based political parties denouncing the announcement and asked government to come clear on the move. PAGD said they will pursue courts for justice as the revised rules has its roots in 370. People's Conference said they are ready to go for a hunger strike.
One is to make people aware. That is our job first. Secondly, there are avenues we can go to the court also.
In our humble capacity, we all of us will go. Agar aisa hua, we will sit on a hunger strike in front of the Parliament of India.
After reactions, the government, through the Department of Information and Public Relations, said the announcement was misunderstood and informed that the statement was made for people who have attained the age of 18 years, who now will be enrolled as new voters. Last week, the controversy ignited again when the Deputy Commissioner Jammu ordered its revenue officials to issue residence certificates to people living in the Jammu region for a period of 1 year. The order was immediately withdrawn when the political parties slammed the directive, saying that the revised rule exercise is prerogative to Election Commission.
कौन तोड़ता है इलेक्टोरल प्रोसेस को, कौन मसक करता है जो इलेक्शन कमीशन की अथॉरिटी को.
The roots take us back to 2019. Before the abrogation of Article 370, summary electoral rules for assembly polls were revised on the basis of Jammu and Kashmir Representation of Peoples Act 1957, which disqualified Indians for registration in an electoral roll if he/she is not a permanent resident of the state. 370 law also forbid Indians from outside region from permanently settling, buying land or holding government local jobs. The scenario changed after the abrogation.
This is illegal. Firstly, because matter is before the Supreme Court of India. You see, we have to look this problem in its historical perspective, its political perspective, what happened to state of Jammu and Kashmir, what was its relation with the Union of India. It was already a disputed question. Kashmir was having a different status as compared to other territories of Union of India in British India. The state of Jammu and Kashmir enjoyed a special status within Indian Constitution under Article 370, and its land rights were protected under Article 35A, which was an extension of the law passed by Maharaja in 1927, state subject law. But after coming into force of the present government, which had an election agenda to remove Article 370. When state was in governor rule, we have Article 253 of Constitution, which says that any decision can be taken after taking into confidence state legislature. That legislature was not existing. Governor being an agent of the central government, Parliament took decision on our behalf and gave their consent. And the fact of the matter is that this matter is sub judice before the highest court of the country, that is Supreme Court of India. It was argued there, it is being heard, it is sub judice. Nothing can be done to alter its legal position provisions unless that case is decided. But in a brazen violence and utter disregard of law and constitution and all the norms of rule of law, the state proceeded to disenfranchise people of Kashmir on 5th August. And this statement you referred about Election Commissioner, who is an officer of the Union Government, is proceeding on that agenda. When they are proceeding to say that outsiders who are laborers, who have been serving in state and central government, army, if they are given voting rights, that will automatically change the demographic. So there's a serious apprehension in the minds of people of Kashmir that there's a plan of changing the demography of Kashmir. Population of Kashmir is only 1% of that population of India. 1% population against 99%. What will happen if these things are allowed?
Despite lawyers being divided, this still means that non-locals can vote in J&K assembly elections for the first time, and domicile and permanent resident certificate would not be needed anymore to be enlisted as a voter, unless the voter has cancelled his voting right in native places.
Who will cast votes? There is a voting eligibility. The qualifications of the voters are prescribed under the Constitution, but broadly governed by the People's Representation Act. The Election Commission of India can issue such a notification, who can vote and who cannot vote. But it also gives you the provision who can vote. There's particular clause in that. People who are ordinarily residents. It's not about domicile anymore, and by this time the concept of permanent resident, that has also become to some extent redundant. But now the clause is ordinarily resident. Who is ordinarily resident? Under law, ordinarily resident, the terminology of the law is whoever sleeps at a particular place at any point of time. But that, what it should spell, it's only a matter of fact what ordinarily resident should mean. That means a person, in a layman's parlance, I would describe it as home. Ordinarily resident, wherever you are in the world, wherever you are in the country, the place to which you return back, that should be your place or home. So a person cannot vote. The law also is very clear on this point, that if you are enrolled, it's the constituency where you are living, where you are ordinarily resident, where you are ordinarily having a home, not a house, not a building. You may have land somewhere, you may have houses somewhere, but where you just put up for some time, then you return back to your place, your abode, where you are constantly seen. That place is quite different from the place where you may own those houses, that land. In this context, I would also like to say that the service providers, as you mentioned, whether they are eligible or not, service providers means the security agencies who are working here, or our people, the natives of Kashmir, J&K, Ladakh, who are working outside in the security forces. They are collectively known as service providers. They will be, under law, they can vote only at the place where they have been enrolled, in their own constituency. They cannot just go and vote anywhere else. If a security person working in the security forces is enrolled in Kashmir, he can vote only in Kashmir. There is no two votes. You cannot have two votes for two constituencies. It creates ambiguity, it creates doubts when they say that security forces will also be allowed to vote. Because we know that Kashmir has many security forces, around lakhs, and if they all go and vote without voting in their own native constituency just because they are residing here in Kashmir, that totally shifts the political focus.
Though the 370 matter is prejudiced in the Supreme Court, the government held delimitation exercise. Delimitation gave less populated Jammu 6 additional seats, while Kashmir got only 1. This means a 4% increase in the seat share of Hindu-majority Jammu and a 3.4% decrease in that of Kashmir. The delimitation exercise also rearranged, merged and vanished constituencies in the Muslim-majority region. For example, Kashmir constituencies embedded with history of boycotting elections were merged with active voting regions of Chenab and Pir Panchal. Like Punch and Rajouri areas of Pir Panchal were merged with South Kashmir's Anantnag parliamentary seat.
मई 2018 से लेकर आज तक जम्मू कश्मीर में जो लिमिटेड फ्रेंचाइज एक यूनियन टेरिटरी में हो भी सकता है, वो भी नहीं। और उस प्रोसेस को भी उस ढंग से शुरू किया डिलिमिटेशन के नाम पर, वो आपको मालूम है, दोहराने की जरूरत नहीं। अब मिनिमम एक वोटिंग राइट का सवाल है।
Kashmir politicians believe the exercise has openly changed the old dynamics by overwriting decade-long political investment and ground connections. Eventually, delimitation and voting rights are the byproducts of abrogation of 370, which is prejudiced in the Supreme Court since 5 August 2019.